Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DISB Download, an official podcast of the D.C. Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking, also known as DISB. I'm Chief Communications Officer Art Swift, and I'm here with Director of Enforcement and Consumer Protection, Brian Bressman. Welcome, Brian.
Welcome, Art. I'm happy to be here.
Today, we're going to talk about a variety of scams, how to identify them, avoid them, and report them. Brian, first, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at DISB.
I'm the Director of Enforcement and Consumer Protection. I oversee a staff of financial fraud investigators and an assistant director as well. We investigate complaints that come in from the general public, from other agencies involving potential scams, frauds that are being committed against D.C. residents and D.C. businesses.
Very good. Well, I want to start with romance scams. We hear about that. It's kind of a salacious topic when you think about it. But what are romance scams and how are they normally perpetrated?
They're perpetrated in a number of different ways. You may get somebody may get an email, a message, or they may get it on their social media, and they'll be approached by somebody, or even on a dating website, and somebody will approach you if you're the individual being approached, and they will come off very charming and very interested in what they've read or heard on the site about you. They will try to make you feel very comfortable, and within a very short period of time, they will tell you how much they have fallen in love with you, and which is the first red flag that should pop up. And once they've done that, they continue to gain your confidence. And what they often will tell you is that they need money for a sick relative, and they're out of the country, or they need money to come and visit you and spend time with you, so they need you to send them money. It's usually a request for money that will begin the process, and that's where you should be very, very alert to what's going on.
And what is the sort of individual who's targeted by a romance scammer?
They're looking for, it could be anybody, but unfortunately we find that many of the scam victims happen to be elderly residents in the District of Columbia. And they look for people who are lonely, they live alone maybe, and don't have much connection with friends and family. Those are the perfect victims for these scammers.
Interesting. And who are the people that perpetrate romance scams? I mean, we hear comically a lot of times they come from, Africa or Russia or whatever. Is that all true? Is it international or domestic? Where do these people come from? Who are they?
Some are domestic, but unfortunately, most of the scammers that we've been seeing to the greatest extent right now are coming from Asia. And they're working out of Cambodia and Thailand. And what they do is these scammers who are in these countries target people in China to come work for them with promises of wonderful jobs and big money. And these young ladies and people, they go to these locations out of their country and into Cambodia. And they end up in basically a compound which is guarded by people, and they are forced to commit these romance scams, believe it or not. And they contact people in the States and Europe, especially as well, and England, and they do their act.
And how could someone protect themselves from becoming a romance scam victim? What are the best tips you would offer?
Well, the best tips I would offer is this. Again, if somebody tells you, professes their love for somebody in a very, very short period of time, that's the first red flag. The second red flag will come when they tell you that they can't meet you in person. They don't want you. They don't have. You don't see them. You may. It's possible have a phone conversation, but it may not even be the same person you've been connecting with. And it'll be mostly through email, or they will take you off whatever site that you found them. If it's on a let's say it's on one of the dating sites, they'll move you onto some other site, like WhatsApp, where they can have conversations with you and not be scrutinized potentially by the dating apps who will look for people that are potential scammers.
So if you're on a first date and they ask you for money, probably run away.
Yeah, you should run and run very quickly, very quickly. Don't send any money. If anybody asks you to send money or Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or anything like that, and you've never met these people before, don't do it. Even if they tell you that they have a great investment opportunity because they care about you so much and they've made millions of dollars and they want you to be able to do the same, they'll send you false statements showing account activity, which are totally bogus. They'll be happy to send that to you and make you think that they've made a lot of money through some crypto investment scheme that they found. Don't do it. Don't send them any money. Don't send anybody any money. And talk to your friends or relatives and people that you can confide in, and show them. Tell them, you met this person. This is what's going on, and see their reaction, because you'd be pretty surprised. Usually, your instincts may not be exactly on point, but they'll tell you what they think. And listen carefully, because it doesn't really make sense.
And you touched on this earlier, but particularly in the case of senior citizens living alone, is there anything their family or friends can do to protect them from becoming a victim?
Yes. They actually should keep in communication, stay in communication with the relative, with the friend, as often as possible, and ask them, hey, anything special, unusual, different going on in your life? Have you met anybody interesting? Have you made any new friends? Have you been doing anything that you didn't do before? And let them speak. Let them tell you what's happening. And if they start to mention things like, yeah, I just decided to invest my money in this crypto world because everybody seems to be making millions of dollars, so why shouldn't I? And, and so that's one good thing to be alert to. Or I met the love of my life, at 75 years old, and I finally met the one for me, and I want to move forward. And we're talking about marriage and everything, and I'm helping her family out because they have a very sick daughter and who needs an operation, and they can't afford to do it on their own, and they need to fly that person to France, where they have a special hospital that will take care of the surgery. So all this kind of information, all of this, the bulbs should be lighting up all over the room when you hear that.
And lastly on this topic, if somebody believes that they're the victim of a romance scam, what should they do?
Well, they can always call us. They can call the DISB's Enforcement and Consumer Protection Division and speak to us. We'll be happy to discuss it with them and help. And then our number is 202-727-8000, or visit our website at disb.dc.gov.
And this is Art Swift. You are listening to the DISB Download, and I am joined by Brian Bressman. I'm going to shift gears for a moment here, and I have been hearing about scams involving victims who are contacted by phone by individuals impersonating IRS agents or Social Security personnel. Is this true?
Unfortunately, Art, that is true. There seems to be quite a popularity in this particular scheme. They are calling up individuals, and not only are they just calling them, they're threatening them with arrest or immediate incarceration if they don't pay, for example, back taxes. Or in the case of Social Security, they'll say that they committed Social Security fraud. And the only way to get out of that would be to pay $5,000 as soon as possible. Otherwise, the police are on their way and they're going to arrest you.
Ooh. Well, how can our residents protect themselves from becoming victims of the IRS and Social Security impersonator scams?
Well, the IRS and Social Security, especially the agents, the criminal authorities, they don't call you to tell you they're coming to arrest you. That just doesn't happen. The other thing that doesn't happen is they don't call you asking for money over the telephone. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing that doesn't happen. So if you get these calls, and it may sound very authentic and very like they have sounds in the background, even sometimes of sirens going off to make you think that the police are on the way. It's amazing what they can do. And police radios. So if you get one of these calls and asking you for money, hang up. Just hang up. Don't give them any of your personal identifiable information, because that's the first thing they're trying to get. They want to get that, and then they also want to get your money. So if they're trying to do either of those two things, which would be your Social Security number, your driver's identification number, birth date, account numbers, names of banks and financial institutions, don't give them any of that information.
And what should someone do if they believe they're the victim of an IRS or Social Security imposter scam?
Well, one thing they can do is they can always call us again at 202-727-8000 and ask us the question, tell us what's happening, what happened, and we could do everything we can to help you. You can also call the Metropolitan Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit, and they can also call the SSA, Social Security's Administration. They have an Inspector General, and they have a number you can call as well as the IRS, and that would be the Treasury Inspector General's office.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you. That is very valuable information, and hopefully no one that's listening and no one in the district is going to be targeted by these folks. But it's always good to be vigilant. I keep getting phone calls from people within my same area code trying to sell me extended warranties for my automobile. I mean, this is sort of a cliche, but I always see the number on the caller ID. Who are these people, and are these warranties legit?
These are what's known as boiler rooms. We call them boiler rooms because they're rooms loaded with people who are on headphone sets and calling numbers, which just indiscriminately, they come through a machine that pulls out the number, and it calls numbers in your area code. For example, if your area code is 202 in Washington, D.C., they will have their number coming as 202. And the reason why they do that is so that you think you may know the person that's calling. As opposed to an 800 number, you'll say, that's probably they're trying to sell me something. Once you pick up the phone, they give you a hard sell, and they tell you your warranty has expired. You need to get one right away, because if your engine breaks down, you're going to have to shell out $10,000 out of your own pocket. And it's really important to have an auto warranty, an extended warranty. But before you do that, they're calling you to make money. Think about that. Call your auto dealer or your manufacturer for your car. Ask them what the warranty is on your car. It may still be perfectly okay, and it may be working, and you're fine and you don't need this warranty, and you're going to lose money if you buy it. So don't believe them because they tell you that your warranty has expired or is just about to expire. These are really worthless sales to you, but it's making them quite a bit of money.
Interesting. Well, how do I report these annoying calls, and what can I do to stop getting them?
Unfortunately, there are a couple of things you can do. You could try to go on the no-call list, and you can contact the Federal Trade Commission on their website and see whether or not you can file a complaint. You can definitely do that. And put yourself on the no-call list. However, unfortunately, not everybody follows the rules and the law, and they still will call, even though you are on the no-call list. The criminals don't follow the rule of law sometimes, and almost all the time, and you really need to protect yourself as best you can. So when you get these calls about extended warranties, again, tell them no thank you and hang up the phone. Do not pursue the conversation with them.
And for those listening, if you do want to get on the do not call list, the registry, you can go to donotcall.gov. And I'm on that. It seems to have worked, and so I encourage everyone to do so. Again, you're listening to the DISB Download with Art Swift. My guest is Brian Bressman, who is here today from the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking here in the District of Columbia. Well, Brian, many of us see ads for investing in crypto on social media and on the internet. I've heard about people who become multimillionaires overnight investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I have to admit, it would be wonderful to make a bunch of money so I could retire comfortably in Colorado and get to enjoy the good life. Is investing in cryptocurrency a good idea for someone like me who isn't a sophisticated investor?
Probably not.
Oh,
you have to understand there are so many different opportunities for investing in crypto that are available or that you see being advertised on social media, on TV, anywhere you can think of. Many of these opportunities are really not opportunities for you to make money, but an opportunity to lose what you do have if you invest it. It's very difficult to really understand how crypto works and how to invest in it. There are certain people who are very savvy investors who have invested for many years, and they have a better understanding and grasp than the usual person walking down the street. The thing you need to remember too is that there've been some very, very, very bad situations that have come down since November of this past year. For example, the FTX situation, the criminal prosecution and the bankruptcy of FTX and its former founder and former CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried. And that company's downfall at exchange led to the downfall and bankruptcy of other exchanges. So you could see there was like a domino effect. And again, people were investing not knowing what they were investing in, and the companies themselves did not provide audited financial statements by an independent auditor to the customers. So you couldn't even know what their financial situation was. And so it is very, very risky investing in these investments without knowing much more that is necessary. And some of them are actually unregistered securities, which would be violations of the securities laws for the District of Columbia.
So if I am thinking about this, or others who are listening are, what are the top things to consider before making that investment?
Before you make that investment, you should speak to somebody who you trust or who you've known who is savvy in finances and investing. an investment advisor who only gets paid for their advice. They don't get paid for the stocks that they sell. They don't make a commission. Speak to somebody who knows something about this, and speak to some friends and relatives who may have invested. Do some research in it and see exactly what kinds of experiences people have had investing in crypto without really knowing much about it.
Okay. Well, that's helpful, and that gives me peace of mind. I hear, though, a lot about so-called phishing scams. How do the scammers get my email address or phone number to perpetrate these scams? I don't give it to them. How are they getting these things?
People get your email address by phishing on another person's, maybe a friend of yours, email, and they open up the email, and in the email there is a link that the phishing individual sends. If you open that link, it requests certain information, and then it also inevitably leads to it downloading malware into their computer, which captures their entire list, the directory of all their contacts. Now they have all their contacts, and they got your email, unfortunately, and they can even make it appear as though it's your friend sending you an email. So your friend sends an email saying you've been invited to a reunion of our class. All the information here that they need is on the link below. Just click this link, and we can't wait to see you at the reunion. And you go and you click it. Now they can download all sorts of malware, key logging. They can log every stroke, every key that you hit, including all your passwords, including all your account numbers. And they can take that information and then go straight to your bank and clean it out. So those are things that you need to be careful of. Even if it's coming from a friend, call the friend before. If you see that email and it's something unusual, I haven't heard from that friend in like 2 or 3 years, and they're suddenly telling you about a reunion, I would call that friend and say, "Hey, I got an email from you." The first thing you're going to hear them say is, "I was hacked." That's what they're going to tell you. I was hacked. Don't answer that email, whatever you do, because some people did, and they got, unfortunately, the short end of the stick, as they say, and they had problems. So you don't want anybody getting inside of your computer, because once they do, they can control your computer and what it does, and the information, and that very personal information, and photographs, everything that may be contained on it.
So what is spoofing? I've also heard that. I've heard of phishing. You've talked about that, but what is spoofing?
Spoofing is, most of us get from time to time an email or even a text message, and it says on the top, it looks just like, for example, Netflix. It'll have Netflix logo, Netflix everything. It looks sometimes it even looks better than the actual Netflix, the page itself. And they really make it up nice. And they send it to you, and they tell you that your account has been temporarily closed due to non-payment or something of that nature. And you have to take action immediately. Otherwise, they are going to remove your account from their database. So they give you, again, a link, and they tell you to open up this link and follow instructions to verify and authenticate your account. What do they want? They want your passwords. They want your usernames. They want to know. They want to verify the MasterCard or American Express card that you use to open the account and pay for the account. So once they have all of that information, unfortunately, they're going to go right to your credit card accounts or to your debit account, and they're going to wipe you out.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So let's talk then about the red flags. So what red flags should they look for, and what do you advise people to do to avoid becoming a victim of identity theft through one of these spoofing or phishing scams?
In the case of spoofing, which is one of the most popular phishing type scams there are right now, what you should do is hover your mouse, okay, the little arrow over where it's on the top, the sender. It says it will say Netflix, but if you hover your mouse arrow over that, it's going to come out with a totally different web address. It'll be somewhere. It could be originating in Ukraine, and that's the first thing. Because if it doesn't say Netflix.com, then we got a problem for sure. So that's the first thing you should do. The second thing you should do is, if you see this, call Netflix and call them from the number that you have on the bills that you receive from Netflix. And tell them, look, I just got this email. I want to know if it's legit. Can I tell you what it says and where? They'll put you right through immediately, likely, to the anti-fraud department at Netflix, and they'll take a complaint from you. As long as they'll ask you first if you gave any information. Hopefully, you didn't. You didn't open the link and provide information. But once they've cleared that, they'll tell you what to do, and they'll give you some pointers as well for the future that work for any company, not just Netflix. Like Home Depot it looks like Home Depot. It's not Home Depot. It looks like FedEx saying you have a package. They couldn't get it delivered today. They have to deliver it tomorrow, but they need to verify your accounts. Again, it's a phony one. Hover over it, and you'll see it's from somewhere in the Far East, maybe. So you want to make sure, you check. Don't jump. Don't open any links. Don't open any links, and don't give any of your personal information to anybody. Rather, you go to the number that's established in the phone book, on your bills. Call them up, give them the information, and tell them, is this legit? And you'll find out very quickly that it isn't.
Very interesting stuff. That is, this information is so valuable, especially in our ever-changing tech world. That is for sure. Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate your time and all the great information you've shared today.
Thank you very much, Art. It's been a pleasure being here today. Thanks again.
And I should mention the information on this podcast is for general information purposes only. Nothing in this podcast should be taken as legal advice for any individual case or situation. You should consult an attorney, a broker, your agent, or insurer for questions about your coverage or for professional advice. So this concludes our DISB podcast on scams. For more information about the department's services and resources, visit DISB.dc.gov or call 202-727-8000. That's DISB.dc.gov or call 202-727-8000. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And thank you for joining us. Be well.